I could- Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of our Friday noon webinar series. We are delighted to be with you on today. My name is Camara Seals. I am the policy director here at the Arkansas Public Policy Panel and Citizens First Congress. So today, our guests are Shelley Bonuto. Did I get it right, Shelley?
Bonnie.
Bonnie Udo. I've known Shelley for a long time. That last name throws me. And we have Mike Carcass and
Our sis.
Carsis. Okay. So I'm the name slayer, chopping up names today. So going forward, it's Shelley and Mike. How about that?
Good.
And they are representing Omni, which is the Center for Peace, Justice, and Ecology. They are members of the Citizens First Congress, longtime members of Citizens First Congress, and Shelley serves on the steering committee. So, welcome to this edition. We're delighted to have you. And so today's edition, we're going to talk about one of the Citizens First Congress's legislative priorities. And this priority is the title of the priority is Empowering Youth and Families at Work Act. Empowering Youth and Families at Work Act. And what this will implement a state pay stub law to help employees spot earning discrepancies, protect themselves from dishonest employers, and avoid retaliation. So, wow. So let's first off, how are you guys doing today?
Well, we're doing fine. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm happy to be here. I'm
Well,
happy to talk
great.
about this. I'm
Well,
happy.
well,
I'm looking forward to running this through the legislature this year.
great, great.
Well,
We're
Mike,
excited about it. Happy Valentine's Day to you too.
Oh, yeah.
happy
Happy
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.
And we
So,
wanted it on this day so we can
oh,
get the most love possible and,
right, right. We're gonna spread some love.
spread
Okay.
some love.
Well, so let's talk about this bill. So the first thing so let's make sure our conversation, we talk in terms where viewers can understand. Okay. I know you two have been in the trenches a long time, working on this bill, working on this legislation. And so you all know all the language, the acronyms. So I'm gonna ask some questions, and I'm gonna ask these in a way that our audience will understand what it is you all are trying to do. So the first thing, so before I go to the title, again, let me say um, I want to talk about what you all are proposing to do. So this title is called the Empowering Youth and Families Act. Now, previous to this, it was called the Pay Stub Law. So what I want to do is talk about what is this, number one, and let's talk about why it's no longer called the pay stub law. Because the pay stub law is easy to remember. And just for our audience, so you all know, if you work, you should get a pay stub. It's that simple. If you work and earn wages, when you get paid, you should get a pay stub that shows your earnings, shows your deductions, shows your taxes withheld. So that's what this is about today. So let me start off. Let's start off with the name. Why is it called Empowering Youth and Families Act?
Well, it's a long story. I'd like to preface this by saying that Mike and I are not the experts in this field. It has been difficult for us. It started because we were part of an immigrant rights group, And we were concerned about immigrants not getting their full wages. So we started a bill about that, but it came down to, because the committees were not willing to really look at the whole issue, or it appeared that we could not get it through committee, that we were advised by lawyers and we were advised by labor organizers that we needed a simpler bill. So we kept it to just a pay stub. This bill has been proposed many, many times, sponsored over 20 years in the legislature. And it was called at first the Right to Know and Get Your Pay Act, and was proposed for everybody, all workers. In 2023, Act 195 was passed, and that removed the requirement that parents had to sign on a form to allow minors under 16 years old to work. So they were able to work without their parents' permission. This caused a lot of backlash on the legislature. What are you doing to our children? Because children are there's vulnerable, and there are children who are being hurt in dangerous occupations,
or abused or taken advantage of.
in dangerous occupations. So it just took away one little protection for children. And in response to that, Senator Clint Penzo sponsored a bill that became Act 687. And what it did was increase civil penalties and created civil fines and criminal penalties for people, employers violating the Child Labor Act. And so we thought, well, this could be, if children were required to have pay stubs, minors were required to have pay stubs, that would fit in with the legislature's desire to ameliorate 195 a little bit and to protect children further, that they have proof of their employment. Mike, do you want to read what the bill actually says?
Sure.
Well, not in full now. You're not going to read the whole bill.
It's really short.
Oh, okay. Okay. So give us that, Mike.
There's some language added to an existing statute that requires record keeping of all employers, whether it's a minor employer or somebody who's over 18 or over. It's just an addition of sub D and 1 and 2. First one is the purpose of the section. All persons of the age of 18 years shall be considered to have reached majority and be of full age for that purpose. Until the age of 18 years is attained, they shall be considered minors. And what that means basically is that we're just setting it up. This is all about minors. It's not about anybody 18 or over. It's all about minors. And I'll talk about that if you want to hear more about that, why it's only minors.
So Mike, which bill is this you're reading?
The one that Senator Leding's going to be submitting.
Oh, okay. Okay. Is
so
this
now
for Empowering Youth and Families Act?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure.
Sure. And the other subsection 2 is every employer subject to any provision of the subchapter of any rule issued under this subchapter. So in other words, it's an employer who has to keep records, do certain things regarding an employee. And one of them is keep certain records. So that employer shall furnish each minor employee at the time the employee's wages are paid an itemized statement showing the pay basis in hours or days worked, the rate or rates of pay, the gross pay, and all the deductions from the pay for the restricted pay period.
That's the bill.
Yeah. So
it used to be 9 pages.
Yeah, so that's pretty simple and straightforward. So let me ask you, let me ask you, first of all, you said Senator Greg Leding.
Yes. He's sponsored it for years and years and years.
Right. So what we're doing different now is that you've shortened it and made a lot of compromises.
We have compromised a lot, and we have shortened it a lot. and we have limited it to minors.
Yeah, because Arkansas is it used to be one of 9 states not having any pay stub law. So
That
in
was
other,
my next question.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So
You get a
one of
pay
nine
stub.
states.
I mean, you get a pay stub, right? Come here.
Yes, absolutely.
I get a
Absolutely.
pay stub where I worked when I used to work.
Yeah.
And so people generally, Walmart gives pay stubs, Tyson, everybody gives pay stubs. How do you
Right.
calculate deductions? That's that,
Right.
but anyway, so Ohio passed a law of requiring pay stubs. So now Arkansas is one of 8 states without a pay stub law.
Okay.
And
So
I would
go
just say,
ahead, Shelley.
yeah, I would like to mention that unfortunately, Leila Chisholm hasn't been able to get on, but she is the expert. And we were so fortunate to find her in an economic justice caucus meeting that the CFC held. And she said,
Right.
oh, what you're doing is exactly what we want to do. We want to work with you. She has been amazing.
Amazing.
She's
Awesome.
the expert. She is actually the assistant payroll manager for the city of Little Rock. She
Awesome.
she knows her stuff, and her son is willing to testify at the committee meeting, and he has experience as a young person. Is a minor and working for a company that would not give him a pay stub.
Wow.
And so he didn't, and then when he complained that he was not able to verify his the amount that he was being paid, the employer charged him of theft,
Yes.
and fired him.
Yep.
It was
Oh, wow.
retaliation, so he had no protections.
Right. So let's back up just a bit. Um, so, and I don't know if you know the numbers, but the majority of Arkansans who work do receive a pay stub, right?
Yes, most do. Because the records, like Mike said, are being kept anyway. They have
Yeah.
to be kept for 3 years. Why not give a pay stub?
Just punch a button, get a
So
pay.
But we
right.
don't have that data.
That
And
was okay.
and so Leela and her group created a survey for us and started disseminating it among mostly young people who are working in like fast food or whatever kind of jobs they can get. And in that, about a fifth of the people do not receive pay stubs, but about a fourth of the people have trouble accessing their pay stubs. Like Leela's son, he works at a place now where he gets a pay stub. He likes his job. He likes his pay stub. But the other people, he's a manager. The other people have trouble accessing the pay stub because they have to get it at the place where they work, and they have to get it from the manager, and she's only there in the morning, so they have to adjust their schedule so they can be there when it's convenient for her to give the pay stubs. And that's what we've heard from other young people, that either they have to get it from the manager or it's online and really difficult to access. And so we would like a pay stub that is easily accessible for young people, and they need to be taught to read the pay stub because it's difficult. Like Leela she's a professional, and she had trouble explaining to her son his pay stub
Wow.
because
So let me say, for those of you watching on Facebook, if you have a question, put it in the chat, and Brady will get that to us. And if you are on the Zoom or whatever, put it in the chat, okay? And we'll make sure we get to your questions. Okay, so let me ask, I guess let's just ask the simple question. Why do you all think some employers make it difficult or just don't give pay stubs to their employees?
I can't tell you, but I can tell you that before we took this on, I believe it was in 2017, I just happened to be sitting in a committee meeting at the legislature, not knowing I was ever going to be involved with pay stubs, and watched as they were going over a pay stub law. And one of the senators in that committee said, well, I hire part-time workers and it's just too much trouble.
Mm,
Now, okay. Now, but I'll tell you why I think.
okay.
And one of the main reasons is because employers can steal money.
Yeah.
If you don't know what you're getting paid, how many hours you're working, how many hours you're being paid for, your rate of pay, or how they're calculating that, they may
Right.
say they're paying you so much, but they aren't paying you that much. Or so they're taking money. They're
Yeah.
having you check in or having you put on PPE before you check in. Personal protective equipment before you check in,
Right.
before you clock in. I mean,
Right.
so I think wage theft is a big part of it.
Right. And that's kind of what I was getting to because that was the name of this bill at one point.
At one point,
At
when it was
one
9
point,
pages.
right, right. I know. And but it was controversial,
Mm.
although it was true,
Yes,
it was
yes,
controversial
yes.
because we're saying employers are stealing money.
Well,
So,
yeah, we are having to make some compromises here. We're working
yeah.
with people whose priorities are business for whatever that reason is. I don't want to impugn anybody, but their concerns are business. The act in 2017 almost passed. It's a bipartisan act. It's
Right,
simple. The records are kept anyway. Just give a pay
right.
stub. But what happened was Greg Leding was sponsoring it. It passed out of committee. It made it to the Senate floor. They had all the votes, but then at the last minute, the lobbyists for the Chamber of Commerce said, "Don't pass this bill," and they lost the votes that they had.
Mhm.
So I think business is concerned about workers having this a little more power.
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's so unfortunate that the state chamber, and businesses
Mhm.
want to conceal
Yeah.
this information. It's very telling when you have a business organization that does not want people to know what they are making by
Mm.
the hour, what deductions are being held, and all of that. It is very, very telling
Mhm.
about what's going on. And it's injustice, is what it is. It's injustice. Yeah.
Well, I would like to mention that Randy Zook is the lobbyist for the Chamber of Commerce. He's a very amenable person. In 2023, we called him and said, "Can you tell us what we can do with this bill that would so the chamber would accept it?" Because I mean, it's good for business too. I
Right,
mean,
right.
there's so many reasons. It's also good for business as well as for employers. And uh, he said, well, they were concerned about, I guess, what I'm not sure what he said at the time, but
Just an additional regulation.
just an additional regulation. And
You know, all the
so,
big, all big players have give pay stubs. Everybody gets pay
Right.
stubs. So many
but
people do, but so many smaller employers who maybe have to take advantage of employees because they have to pay the bills.
we read him the bill as we have it now, and he said he had no problem with it. So we that doesn't mean the chamber doesn't have a problem with it, but it means that he, as a lobbyist for the chamber, and who would sit in committee meeting and just nod, no.
Or do this,
Right.
Right? Um, he said he does not have a problem with it, and he's a nice person. I mean, we like him. We're going to meet him again on the
Oh,
Well,
CFC.
nice doesn't equate to justice.
yeah. I don't think he's, I don't, that's her opinion.
But we're
My,
not here talking about him, though. I just want to, and I think he's the executive director over there.
Is
Uh,
he?
I
oh,
think he's the executive director. But anyway, so I know at one point, the chamber was a barrier, to this being passed, and I do remember that. I think you said it was 2017 or somewhere like that.
Yeah, it almost passed.
Yeah, I remember that. So let me ask, let's kind of shift gears. So is there a cost to doing this? I know with every bill, people, you look at a cost analysis, or what will it cost? I know it won't cost the state of Arkansas
No.
anything. Will it cost businesses any additional
They
expense?
have to keep the records anyway.
Right,
All the
right.
records have
So
to
it's
be.
kind of a no, it's kind of a no-brainer.
It's so many programs. You just push a button and that's what you have, a pay stub. Because you already
Right,
have those records. You just push a button and then you have all the information for a pay stub right there.
right, right. Well, let me ask you, so this bill, you have a bill number?
Not yet, no. Bill,
Not yet.
Greg, we saw Greg on the 10th, Senator Letting, we talked to him on the 10th, and he said that he was going to enter the bill so that we could have a committee, it could go into committee on the week of March 17th to 21st, and it will probably be on March 19th or on March 17th, either a Monday or a Wednesday, it will be in committee. But we do not yet have a number.
Okay, so we don't know. So for people who are watching that say, hey, I want to support, I want to help, I want to spread the word, I want to do something about uh, making sure employees receive a pay stub. What can they do?
Oh, well, I think probably the first thing you could do is to write the Public Health Committee of the Senate, those members, and say that a pay stub bill is going to be entered and to please support it.
And I assume that CFC will have, or the panel will have the notice of the bill, what number it is once Greg files it, once Senator Letting files it.
Mhm.
Yes? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'll get out. And so you can also, you can mention that bill number and any communication you have with any senator, including
So
your own.
you, so you all think this is going to be assigned to Senate Public Health?
Yes, that's what it's. Greg is actually, I believe, the chair of that. What is
Like
it? Senate
chair.
Public.
No,
It's
he's not.
Right.
They didn't want any
he's not the chair.
Democrats to be
He's not
chair.
no, but he is on the committee. And City Senator Love, Frederick Love, is also on
Okay.
the committee. So we have two votes.
Okay.
Hopefully, yeah.
It should be well, no, it's bipartisan. It's bipartisan. You
Part-
you had bipartisan support before, right?
We
Not
did.
enough.
In fact, the first year that we presented it, which was 2 legislative sessions ago, Breanne Davis did offer a due pass.
Yeah.
But it was not seconded. So yes, it's definitely a bipartisan bill. If you don't mind, I would like to read what the benefits to the employers
I
are.
think that would be great. Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
So we got a lot of this from Leela, who really
Yeah.
knows this stuff.
Yeah.
He said, employers may make mistakes in calculating deductions for Social Security and taxes. If these mistakes occur over a significant time period, the employer may be faced with fines. A pay stub can verify for the employer and employee that the deductions are accurate. A pay stub is a record for employers who may not be aware that a minor has been hired and is being employed in a dangerous or unsuitable occupation. Senator Pinzo's Act 687 increases penalties for that.
Yeah.
Employers would benefit because as minors learn about working, taxes, etc., they will make mistakes, such as claiming that they're entitled to a higher net pay or they don't know how to read the deductions, etc. A pay stub will protect the employer from a minor employee's mistakes in calculation, deductions, etc. So it's definitely worthwhile
Yeah.
because there are Fair Labor Standards Act fines and penalties also that an employer needs to know about. And if those are not caught, they can be fined by the Fair Labor Standards.
Right. And that brings up another question about the pay stub, employees not receiving a pay stub. Is there any regulation or anything under the Labor Department? Are there any laws or regulations or ordinance or whatever within the Department of Labor that allows or it's nothing?
Not that we know of,
No,
because the state does not have a pay stub law, and there is no federal pay stub law, so the state
Right.
doesn't have to have a pay stub law. But this brings up another point that we'd like to mention, that the Department of Labor does not have access to investigative powers, does not have the investigative powers, the time, or the resources to investigate these claims sufficiently. And so if a minor receives a pay stub, that helps them, prepares them to act in their own self-interest.
Okay.
And the Department of Labor doesn't have statistics on this. This is why we are creating our own data, finding our own data.
Right. So another question. So I guess part of your compromise from your previous bills, because you've been working on this since 2017, is that right?
Well, no, but this is
2019.
29. This is our third session.
Third session. Okay. So
this is our third session working
so
on.
third session. So here, so as part of your compromise, you've gone from all employees to just minors. Is that right?
Yes.
Just minors.
Yes. And there's another reason for that. And I'd like to read that also.
Do share.
Pay stubs, when given, provide evidence to investigators in identifying labor trafficking of minors. This is something else that our legislature has become increasingly aware about. Of course, lawyers, and Annie Smith, professor of law, is becoming has informed us about that there is increasing labor trafficking. And I've heard about it from teachers. Talk about kids who fall asleep in their class because they've worked all night.
Wow.
And this is just, the pay stub could be just another little helpful, if it's given. I mean, if it's not totally under the table, if a pay stub is given, it could provide a little more evidence that a child is working when they should not.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I definitely commend you all for continuing in this fight. But it just seems kind of unfair to not be able to have this with the adults, because we know there are factories in parts of Arkansas that they're ripping off employees. We know that. I know. I understand. We're not calling out. We know it's happening, right? We know it's happening.
Yeah.
And so for you all to have to compromise and remove that from your bill is very telling.
Well, we may have to wait until the yin yang switches around and we have a more progressive legislature. Then we can get that through. There's something else I'd like to mention that's hugely important for everyone, but particularly for young people, is that a pay stub is a document that is essential in order to find housing. So
wait, say that again. Say that again, Shelley.
Stub is one of the essential documents that a young person or anybody needs to show that they are working, that they have a job in order to get housing or other services that are necessary for them. So this is so not to provide a pay stub is denying people essential documents that they need in order to survive.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, because you need a pay stub to take out a loan or to borrow money, things like that. You have to have a pay stub. You got to show that you're working. So we're looking forward to doing everything we can to push this bill through. We look forward to it being filed in March. And we'll just, we'll be working to that end. We get this passed, and then y'all will come back with the other one, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Leila will.
Y'all will stay in the fight, right?
We want to pass it to the experts. I'm an artist. Mike is a lawyer, but we have done what we can with this. But we would like to get. It's such a pleasure to be working with Leila, who is an expert in this field. And I would like to thank you very much for this opportunity to share this bill, for the opportunity to work with the CFC, which is the best organization I've ever worked with.
Well, thank you, Shelley and Mike. It's been a pleasure interviewing you on today. Not really interviewing, it's just a conversation. We're having a conversation, and the goal is to educate Arkansans about these issues. I didn't know anything about this until you guys brought it to light. I've worked, but I've always received a pay stub. And so I just thought everybody received a pay stub.
Exactly.
And
We thought so too.
when I learned what was really happening, it was just like unbelievable. And so just seeing the pushback has been disheartening over the years. But I think you got a bill that'll get through. We hope we'll get through. We'll be working in collaboration and um, yeah, we'll leave it there. I don't think we had any questions, but like I said, we do, appreciate you all coming on to educate Arkansas about the importance of having a pay stub, and then protecting our youth, our young workers. We have to protect them. So if you all have any closing thoughts you just want to share?
Just that it's so simple. The records are being kept. It's bipartisan. It's valuable to the miners. It's valuable to the employers. There's no reason not to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Simple as that.
Simple as that.
All right. Thank you guys. We'll be in
Thank
touch.
you, Tamara.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one.